welcome to Impact 2026, our continual conversation where we talk about all different types of things, current events, race, religion, everything you can think of. Talk about it from sometimes a religious slant, sometimes from a black slant because I'm black. But this is that opportunity for you to join in and have a conversation. We always listen to what other people are talking about. We're on TV, whether it be on the internet or whatever. We always know what they're talking about. This is our opportunity to know what we are talking about. And so this is your opportunity to talk as well. So please feel free to type your questions and your comments into the comments section. As always, I like to remind people of the other things that we have going on here. On Thursdays, we have Thursday Thirst. That's our weekly Bible study. That's at 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time for those of you who may not be on the East Coast. That's on Facebook and YouTube. On Sundays, we have a time of worship. That's at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's on Facebook, YouTube, and in person at the address on your screen. And then on Tuesdays at 7 o'clock, we have a time of prayer from 7 to 7:45. That's your opportunity to pray with everyone in the ministry. So if you're praying, you will be praying with others. We're not praying together on the phone together. You're praying wherever you're at. I'm praying wherever I'm at, but we're all praying at the same time. So sometime in between 7 and 7:45. You don't have to do it the whole entire time there. And of course, you're at Impact 2026. Now, there's been a lot of topics that have been going on over the weeks. There's one that we kind of haven't really touched on, really big one, controversial one. So I'm gonna tee it up, and then we're gonna work through this one. This was there was a big story about a young gentleman, 19-year-old gentleman named Carmelo Anthony, not the basketball player, but a young man called Carmelo Anthony. He was convicted of murder. Fortunately, right now they are appealing that decision, or I don't know, fortunately is the right word, but they're appealing the decision. But he was convicted of murder, and this was a big trial. This was a big situation, and so I'm explaining real quickly, and then we'll just jump right into it because I know many of you know what happened. Carmelo Anthony was a track runner, and he was at a track meet, and it was a track meet with different schools. And so during the track meet, they had a rain delay. And in the rain delay, he went under the one of the other team's tents. And so if you've been to a track meet, especially when it's raining, you'll have sections where the different schools or the different teams are set up. And they have different tents sometimes to block them from the sun or block them from the weather. And so during a rain delay, he just slid under one of the other team's tents. While he was under the tent, the people from the other team, the other school, were kind of harassing him, telling him, yo, you got to get up out of here. And he responded by telling the people, don't touch me. One of the kids, a larger kid, Carmelo Anthony is about 5'10", 100 some pounds. Larger kid who was 6 foot, 200 some pounds, came over and pushed Carmelo. And then as a response, he had a knife and stabbed the boy one time. But where he stabbed him was close to vital organs, and he ended up dying. And so that's, the story kind of in a nutshell. Went to trial. A lot of famous people got involved and was wondering about the trial. One of the important issues of the trial was that he went before a jury, not of his peers, but of all white jury. Carmelo Anthony is an African American. The person that he killed was white, and it was a little weird that you had a jury of completely white people, and so that was one of the reasons that people kind of got up in arms about it. Other was, this is a young kid. What's going on? Why are you charging him as an adult, life sentence? Well, he is 19 now. I'm not exactly sure how old he was when this was committed. And the person and the young gentleman who lost his life was 17 as well. And so there's a lot of issues going on there, a lot of packed in on there. And so I brought in, we have Brother Wilder who's joined us today. We're just going to talk through this issue. Again, if you have any comments or anything like that, please feel free to add those to the situation. We're just going to talk it through because there's been a lot of emotions, a lot of feelings, a lot of controversy going on with this. A lot of people upset saying that Carmelo should not be charged with murder or charged as an adult. There's a lot of people with a lot of different opinions. And so, Chris, I'm going to go ahead and just start with you just off top. What's your opinion or your feeling about this Carmelo situation?
I got a lot of mixed things because the father in me is, wants to defend and protect my boy, and the situation with the jury, it's clearly biased.
Mm-hmm.
Just based on for the racial and age dynamics of that jury, I think it was clearly biased.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, the logical person in my heart says, well, why do you have a knife at a track meet?
Right.
And like, what did you feel why did you feel the need to carry a weapon? And why were you in another team's tent?
Mm-hmm.
And why did it have to go so far for you to leave? Like it's just so many various, just it's a lot of problems with this, and it's hard to really sit on what to believe with this one. It's just really interesting mix of a whole lot of messed up stuff.
Yeah. And I'll jump in because we're going to talk about some of those things. I think I'm going to say this, and you may agree or disagree, but I believe oftentimes when we have these situations, it's a failure of parenting. Well, not parenting, a failure of parents or failure of adults. Uh, and so in a situation like that, you're saying, why is he under the tent? The other team's tent. We've been to track meets. You've been to a lot of track meets. I ran track and was in some track meets, and I know that it depends on where you're at the time, especially if you're doing field events. When that rain comes down, I can't make it all the way over to my tent. I'm gonna go up under the tent of these other people. Now, usually it's not no drama. It's not no situation. Like it's like, come on, man. I'm just standing under the tent. Like this is not like a sport like football or basketball where I'm trying to steal team secrets. You running or you jumping. Like it ain't. I can't read your playbook. Like you running. There's not a lot of strategy there per se. But I think when I say a failure of adults is, where are the adults? Where are the adults that say, hey, stop harassing this boy. He's just standing here because it's the rain. Or where are the adults that say, look, sir, you can't be under this tent. It's causing some issues. I'm going to walk with you, maybe grab an umbrella while I walk with you over to your school.
Right.
Where are the adults at in the situation? To allow something to escalate that far. Good and well at the track meet. You've been at these track meets, and as a leader at the track meet, as the adult at the track meet, you can keep eyes on your tent and usually on what's going on with a lot of the people under your tent. And so if they're harassing some boy to the point where somebody wants to go up and push him, that would be a failure on your part. You would not be the track coach anymore. So I say that to say, and the question is, do you agree or do you think it's a failure of adults? Or is this just these kids were just, this is on the kids?
I don't think it was a failure of adults, but I think this was preventable.
Mm-hmm.
And I made it a point this season because I also I coach track and field. I made it a point this year to make sure that all my kids sit in our section. When they finish their events, they come back, they sit down. All the snacks, they don't have to go to the concession stand. They don't have to do this. They don't have to do that. If they were going to go any place, they had to take two of their teammates with them.
Mm-hmm.
And then they had to let one of the coaches know where they were going and why they were going there. And so, and that was hard. And because if you've ever been to a track meets are really just, you got a group of kids, it's like field day.
Right.
It really is. It's like field day when a lot of people just have a lot of different things to do. Some kids are waiting for theirs. Some have already done theirs, and they're just walking around watching other kids do stuff. They're meeting new friends. They're going to the concession stand. They're having a good time. It's fun for the kids. But when you get in situations like this, you really recognize, look, these kids are not supervised properly. And we could have prevented some of these things from happening. You know, if coaches and parents were really more attentive to where their athletes were, you know, moving to. But I still, it gets back down to the same fact. Why do you have a knife at a track meet?
Right.
It's why? Like what
But
are you looking for?
You're hitting right on the comment. So the comment that's being said is, it seems like there's much more to the story than what is being told. Why did he bring a knife? Was there something going on before the track meet? Well, I'll say this. Let's dive a little deep into this, because going back to kind of the adult role. So Carmelo Anthony's parents, there was a GoFundMe that was raised so that he could for his legal defense, and that GoFundMe raised over $600,000. But the GoFundMe had to be shut down because his parents, mother and father, took the money and purchased a new home so that they could move out of whatever neighborhood they were in, and purchased a new vehicle. So they use the money for a home and a vehicle, and maybe some other little things. And so the GoFundMe was shut down.
New. I didn't even know that.
The parents did not show up to the trial, except for the mother showed up right at the end at the sentencing. And to go even further, that $600,000, he ended up having a public defender because he didn't have any money for his legal defense. And so I put all that out there to kind of paint a picture, because not to say that he has parents with issues or anything like that, but to paint a picture of a situation where your parents either did not want to put money towards your defense, or felt the need that with our other kids, or it's so important that we have this one opportunity to move our family out of this neighborhood because maybe their neighborhood was so bad. What it shows you is not the quality of parenting, but it shows you that there's some issues there at his home life. And so then why you may have a knife, because maybe you live in a terrible neighborhood and that's why your parents are so pressed to get out of there. Why do you have a knife? Maybe because you're not really getting your parents not showing up to the trial. They spending money on other things instead of not even getting you a basic lawyer with the $600,000. Maybe they're not showing you the love or the affection that you may need, which again leads back to me saying, as you as a professional, you as a teacher, you as a track coach, parents got to be around, or not parents, adults have to be around, because I can't really even put that on him. It seems like his home situation is terrible, and that's why he had a knife.
I don't know. That all is new information to me. I didn't know his parents. I did hear about the GoFundMe, but I did not know that they bought a house with that. That kind of gives me a little bit more information on this thing. So it's just, I guess it's sad just to see, you know, how this situation became so complicated and so, you know, and so messy. And now it almost seems as if there were, you know, outside powers that were trying to use this as an opportunity to make some larger claims. You know, there would, you know, you had a large group of supporters for Carmelo that were, you know, talking about how racist the system was. But then on the flip side, you had a whole bunch of, let's say, of the white families that were, you know, talking about how violent and how, you know, criminal Carmelo was, and that justice was served. And, you know, and his dad came out, and, you know, Austin Metcalf, you know, the kid that was stabbed, his dad came out and called Carmelo a watermelon felon, and just started going on like really racist rants, you know, just to kind of, and it's almost like they're trying to start something that really wasn't there. And that's on both sides. I'm not saying that one person is starting it and the other. I think on both sides, from the start, and I don't know all of the evidence that was entered in the trial. I don't know exactly how the people were going back and forth, how the lawyers were arguing the case, but Carmelo Anthony stabbed the boy that caused him to die. I mean, it's just that simple. Like,
yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, none of that, you can't disprove that he did that.
Right, that's what happened. And I forgot to mention that so both boys were 17 at the time. And so, but it's a crazy situation. And then on top of that, like you said, like we talked earlier, we do all of this, and now we got an all-white jury. Like, come on, we gotta know. You gotta know that that's not right. Like,
not one black, like not no black people on the jury. Come on, man. And this is in Dallas. There are plenty of black folk in Dallas.
Yeah,
and I'm pretty sure they had to come to jury duty. You just found like let's go ahead and just make this just as blatant as we possibly can. Let's get all of them out. Let's make sure we put them in jail. And then that's the thing about incarceration in this country. Like we kind of neglect the fact that many of the criminals or many of the people that are found convicted of crimes actually are defended by public defenders.
right.
And it's an astronomical percentage. It's like over 60% of all convicted felons are defended by public attorneys. And so in this situation, if you are compassionate and truly looking for equity and justice in this situation, why do you not plead? Why do you not say, okay, this is manslaughter? Okay, you made a mistake. You were in the wrong place. Your emotions caught you. You stabbed this kid. You killed him. Let's plead you down. You doing manslaughter. We're going to try you as a juvenile manslaughter and do this. But you charge him as an adult for murder. And that's, it's so many different angles on this thing that make it so confusing.
And I'll show you, not show you, but to everybody, here's our own bodies. And this happened in the movie with Samuel L. Jackson. When we sit back and we look at the situation, and we talk about it, we're like, man, why did he have a knife? Why did he do this? Why, let's flip the situation. Young white girl. Her mom gives her some mace or a knife or something like that, because every day walking home from school, we got to make sure that you're safe. People be coming out and they'll try to snatch you and pull you into a vein. So, of course, this young white girl has a knife on her, not trying to do anything. She's at the track meet. And she's under the tent because it's raining, can't get back to hers. And it's 10 black guys that come around talking about, you better get up out of here. And one of the black guys pushes her. And so instead, she pulls out her knife. And this little white girl, blonde hair and blue eyes, stabs her knife back in self-defense. Nobody's going to be like she's a murderer. She was just defending herself. No one's going to ask why she had a knife. She's just this little girl who has to walk home in those tough, mean streets every day. When the narrative changes, it looks a little different. Mm-hmm. We're sitting, even in our own biases, we sit here asking why he had a knife. True, you were at a track meet, but we don't know how your walk is going home every day. And if it was a little white girl, we wouldn't even be asking that question. If it was a little white girl, it would never even be. We wouldn't even have talked about murder. We would only be talking about the fact that she had to defend herself from these
violent, angry black.
And so, because Carmelo looks like us, you and I, there is no, Carmelo has to have a knife because it's so tough out here in these streets. Carmelo had to protect himself because these angry white dudes who are 200 pounds, 6 foot, while he's 5'10", came at him. Why are we not? We don't immediately jump to self-defense. And you and I'll say this, as a black man, we don't even go there immediately. When we should be looking at our 17-year-old boys in the same vulnerability and the same level that we would look at it if it was a 17-year-old blonde white girl who was attacked by some black guys. Why do we have that bias built in? And that's kind of like the question. Like, is that just us as a society? Is that why do we have that bias? Like, why can't we get the same kind of benefit of the doubt as black people as
I don't know. I can't argue that, but I did do a little Google research. 75% of state defendants found guilty utilize the services of a public defender, and 90% of federal convictions have public defenders. So I knew it was a crazy number, but yeah, man, like it's hard to, because we all have our own natural biases. Like, I mean, like you said, even point out mine, like, why do you have a knife though? Like, like even my first assumption is, why do you have a knife? Without even thinking about, you know what? Maybe that neighborhood is that kind of rough that he has to carry a tool with him to walk around. And maybe this isn't the first person he stabbed. Maybe because he's defending himself, you know, like maybe this isn't something that's, you know, that kind of abnormal from but, you know, his reaction, he knew that was serious for him. But but for real, like I get what your point is. Sometimes when you flip the characters, changes the dynamic of the story.
And then look, and like you said, it's the money. At the end of the day, it's the money, and that's why what his parents did was so disturbing, because you just read the stats of how often you are guilty when you don't have the money to pay for a lawyer, or you don't choose to pay for a lawyer, and you sitting here and he had a public defender because his parents didn't take the $600,000 to put it towards. It's disturbing. I don't know why. I'm not gonna put that on his parents. I don't know them. I don't know enough information about that, but that's disturbing. I know for me, in my neighborhood, is not the best, but it ain't the worst. I'm gonna put my money towards my kids. But anyway, the comment: I carry a knife every day. I'm not planning on stabbing anyone. However, and that's a good point. At the end of the day, we don't forget he told those people don't touch him, and they did. There is a little bit on them. Like, if a dude say don't touch him and you don't touch him, you ain't getting stabbed to death. He ain't run up in there stabbing people. He tried to defend himself. Don't touch me. I'm good. Don't touch me.
And for people that don't know,
at his best.
Yeah. And for people that don't understand the sport of track and field, it is really body shape really determines your events. And shot put throwers are some of the largest, strongest people in a track event. So I'm pretty sure that there was a substantial size and strength difference between the two of them.
Yeah.
Which would, which gives a very, very true sense of fear that Carmelo may have had. You know.
Now it's disturbing and really problematic. It is. But I'm gonna switch it up a little bit because I want to get this other topic in there, because we could talk about this Carmelo thing all day. There is no answer, and regardless of how you look at it, a 17-year-old lost his life. That's a tragedy, and another 17-year-old is losing his freedom. That's a tragedy. This should have never happened. And at the end of the day, this should have never happened. And whatever systems and parenting and coaching and teaching that was set up at that track meet, they need to look at how it's done, because this didn't have to happen. Adults should have been a little bit more involved, I believe. And with that being said, I'm going to switch to something else. Across the country right now, there's food stamps, SNAP assistance. They're a little different, but the food programs across the country where the government provides SNAP assistance or food assistance to people across the country. So right now, there were in 22 different states, federal government tried to do it as well, but in 22 different states, there have been rules put into place that says you cannot buy certain foods with your SNAP stuff. And those foods are sugary things like candies and cakes, They did now allow you to do hot foods because before you couldn't, but now they're allowing you to do the hot foods like a rotisserie chicken because that's probably one of the easier and cheaper meals. But they also took out sodas, so snacks and sodas and things because they want to make people healthy. They said one of the number one causes of poverty is health related costs, whether it be because you got sick, whether it be because you have extra costs due to diabetes, high blood pressure, cholesterol, whatever. And so a lot of people, and this is, all sides applauding that by saying, yeah, you can't buy these extra foods and goodies and snacks. I'm gonna tell you off top, I disagree. How do you feel about that? How do you feel about, you because you're getting money from the government, they can say, all right, man, you can't get no soda. You can't get no snacks. You can't.
Well, you messed up every cookout, birthday party, anything, man. You messed them kids' summers up, man. Is the cereals on there? Like, is there certain types of cereals they can't get now?
Cereals. Well, they have. There's different rules across different states. I know some of them do the sugary cereal, but no, I know here it's not sugary cereals. I didn't see that in the rules.
But it is. Hey man, I mean, I don't want to rain on anybody's parade, but it's government assisted funds for you to eat, and if the government says you can't buy it, I mean, they're giving you the money for it, so like, you gonna complain? Like, I don't know that. I mean, but that does mess it up, man. You can't get the Captain Crunch no more, though.
Yeah,
that'll mess it up.
Yeah, I get the benefit where they're talking about we need to be healthy and we need to be wise with our choices. Right. It is bad if you just out here just buying your kids just junk and feeding them junk and they all unhealthy and everything like that. However, I will say this: have you ever had a stomach ache and you needed a ginger ale? That's a soda. So you telling me I can't get my food is medicine. So I can't get sodas? Are you telling me that I can't celebrate the fact that my child got an A at school today and I can buy him some ho-hos? I can't celebrate them by doing some candy? I'm not a woman, so women, if I don't beat me up on this, but I heard that a certain time of the month, some women crave chocolate because what's in the chocolate helps them deal with what's going through in their bodies. They are not allowed to do that because that's a sugary snack. I think that sometimes we choose, because people are getting help, we choose to abuse them. Hey, I'm gonna give you a little bit, but I'm gonna put extra onus and rules on you because since you need help, you're too dumb to know what you're supposed to be doing yourself. And I'm gonna we got a comment, but I'm gonna go to this one thing real quick. I used to do, I used to go out and do not community service. Mission trips. And one of the things that we always did was we weren't those people who went out and we was hanging out at the club talking about you just need to come to Jesus. What we did was whatever the people needed, we gave them. One of the mission trips was people needed they were running a summer program for foster kids. We came out there and we volunteered to run the program for the foster kids. Another place, they just wanted us to come out there and do trees. We did that. We gave them what they needed. Knocking the door shall be opened, ask and it should be given to you. And then that's what brought them closer and understanding, there's Christians in Christ out here. We didn't try to just give people what we thought they needed. We give them what they wanted, which will help them get, understand what, kind of what's going on. And so that's kind of the way I approach life. Like, don't give people what you think they need. Give them what they want. They should be smart enough to do what they need, and you can give them some assistance too. Anyway, I'm going to
give people their hot Cheetos, man.
I know. Look, you deserve. At the end of the day, if life is that hard, I think you deserve to eat what you want. You should be able to purchase whatever you want once the funds are exchanged. Exactly. Exactly.
Get them intense blue Takis, man.
Right. And Vincent Cox, I'm gonna say this to that comment: if you don't give people what they want, they're gonna do that whole I'm gonna sell these snap points to you for 50 cents on the dollar so that I can get what I want. And so you're just encouraging other behavior. Another comment: given where many of those who receive SNAP can shop, fresh, healthy foods aren't available. Yup. Or are cost prohibitive. Yeah, it's expensive to buy fruits and vegetables that are just gonna spoil when I can buy some of these things that got the salt and preservatives in them that are going to last a while.
Mhm.
So I think we're beating up on people because of their situation. Let's talk about that. Do you, is it, you feel like I'm beating up on you because you're poor?
I think there's a portion of it that's saying, hey, I'm giving it to you. Be grateful that I'm giving it to you, and just this is what you get. But I think it really does get down to a lot of the people. It's just a lot of those people. They're just not taught proper nutrition,
Yes.
and so I do believe like that majority of the mothers that are on these that get these SNAP benefits, if they knew what better food was and they had that option, they would naturally do the better option.
Ain't had the time. It's harder it takes time to make good food.
Yeah. And so I think if they had the time, the resources, and the knowledge, you would see it. But like you said, you got to have the time, you got to have the knowledge, and you have to have the resources in order to do that. So probably better way of using the SNAP benefits. Maybe let's do some educational components to it. Right? Look, this is what your baby needs at this level. Instead of just saying, hey, this is all you can buy. You can't buy this, that, and that, and this. Let's, you know what? When you come to get this benefit, let me show you why these are the suggested SNAP benefit foods or whatever. This is what your child should be taking in. This is what will properly, nourish your child. But then again, that's me coming from a teacher standpoint too, because I know that nutrition has such a large impact on how children perform at school.
Yes.
And so, like, I mean, and just knowing that, but just having that knowledge, if parents knew that an apple will give you so much more energy and quality nutrition than applesauce would, I think they would make the switch if they had the time, like you said, the time and the energy and the resources.
Yeah. Now, I get it. I get what you're trying to do. You're trying to make people healthier, but you don't force adults to do stuff. That's just not the way to do it. At the end of the day, you can't force nobody to do anything. We can't force you to take medicine. Can't force you to exercise. Can't force you to go to church. Yeah. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, let's not force people on this food. I get it. It's from good intentions.
But if you're gonna give it to them, give it to them and let them use it. Like, and then, then help them make a good decision. Versus mandating that they eat what you think they should eat.
Right. One last comment that we had to get because we passed our time. Rich or well-off people should not make decisions for the least fortunate. Absolutely. Don't we talk about walking in someone else's shoes? Maybe what we need are SNAP stores. That might be a good idea. This is a SNAP certified store. Everything in here you can purchase. Again, you should be able to get a snack, an unhealthy snack every once in a while. Those things, if you done had a hard day at school, you done had a hard day at work, you deserve an unhealthy snack. Your kids that got on your nerves, you deserve an unhealthy snack.
I need them Chips Ahoy's.
You are a person of color in the United States, you deserve an unhealthy snack. Like, just off top, because we can deal with
jalapeno kettle chips.
All of that.
World is hard, man. Let me get over it.
All of that. Well, look, I appreciate you being here. I want to remind everybody again, on Thursdays at 7:00, we have our weekly Bible study. On Sundays at 10 a.m., we have a time of worship. And on Tuesdays at 7, we also have a time of prayer from 7 to 7:45. Granola bars are not cheap. So you're right. They're healthy snacks. But yeah, I want to thank you, Chris, for coming in, talking about this. I know that some of these hard topics here, but We got to talk about this stuff. I think it's important. So I appreciate everybody for joining us, all the comments. Thank you, and join us again next week.
Sometimes you'll want